Hello, Frugivores. Once again, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty. And today I want to talk about comic books that last the test of time and why sometimes comic books fail the test of time. So this would be a little bit soapboxish yet fun. So anyway, let's talk about first some reasons why some comic books last a test of time. But before I do, if you do like this video, please help out the channel if you don't mind. One of the biggest ways you can is just hitting like and subscribe. Hit that notifications bell too. For some reason, YouTube has been really hard on this channel lately. Every time we seem to go up, we drop a bunch. YouTube has taken over 200 subscribers away from this channel in the last 2 weeks, and who knows why. I can't believe that many people unsubscribed all of a sudden. On top of that, if you want to help out the channel more too, there's 2 ways easily to do it. You can go to the info bar down below, and you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month, where you get special Patreon-only videos and additional content, as well as giveaways, where I just pick somebody out of random from the Frugal Forest there on our Patreon and send them a gift. Other way you can do it is a one-time donation through our Streamlabs. We have a link down there below too. That helps greatly to support this channel, and it helps support us as well with some of our goals, like help keep kids reading and get people to keep reading comic books. And if you're not sure what we do there, we have videos where we talk about that. So check that out. All right. Anyway, let's talk about reasons why some comics last. Well, one thing is a good comic has a good sense of tension. As you read it, it keeps pulling you in. A good comic book, when you finish reading that last page and you want to read the next issue right away. Or it was so good, you know what? You go, I'm going to read that again soon. That's just something that screams a good comic book and something good to read. Another one is comic books really do embrace the absurdity. Really, goofy superpowers and things like that. Let's be honest. You're in for a penny, you're in for a pound, and sometimes they do it so well, so over the top, you can't help but love it. Like when She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall. And I know a lot of people are jumping on me and saying, well, Deadpool, well, actually She-Hulk did it first. Another one is good comic books explore the best and worst of people. You really think about it. The best and worst. Love. It shows how much we care for our fellow man, our fellow whoever it is, what we're willing to give up in order to protect others that we love. Or the evil that lies within, the greed, and how bad somebody can be based on maybe a poor upbringing, which is not always great. It's sometimes a poor excuse, but just evil people, people with a lot of evil in their hearts, and the extreme good versus the extreme evil, and how people fight the conflict sometimes of in between. Those usually lead to really good stories. Another one is just excitement, plain good entertainment, good fun reading. We see good action, good story development that just keeps us enthralled and wanting to read issue after issue, like old issues of Spider-Man. When Spider-Man would do whatever it took, no matter how bad it made him look in his personal life as Peter Parker, he would forego all of that to do the greater good. It was exciting, and it was also goes back to that good and evil, showing you just how good Peter was, which is why a lot of damage was done to that character when he made the deal with Mephisto and for the One More Day deal. Another one is escapism. Let's be real. Sometimes we just want to get away from the realities of life and to pick up a good comic book with a fun story, seeing the best of us of what we can be as we stomp down evil or overcome a creature in a horror comic book, whatever, is just fun. It gets us away. It gives us time to relax. There's a lot to be said about escapism and entertainment, which is going to be one of the reasons when I talk about negatives, that sometimes it's bad when they're wanting to use the escapism tool for too much propaganda. Another one is amazing art. Let's be honest, sometimes we like to look at a comic book just because of the great pictures. We'll want to go back and flip through it again because the art was so fantastic, so amazing, we just had to see it again. Or we had to copy it or try to find a print of it to put up on our wall because we love it so much. Or let's look and consider horror comic books that can actually terrify the reader. A really good horror comic book, maybe even tied in with suspense, like The Chair from Alternate Comics. Or recently, which I haven't reviewed yet and I plan on reviewing, is Doppelganger. That series kept me wanting to read the next issue right away, page after page. Absolutely amazing. Or even the current right now, more of a horror spin of The Incredible Hulk. I might not care for the writer personally very much, but he's been doing some knockout work on the Hulk, so I have to give him credit for that. Sorry about any of the noise, by the way, coming in the background. Another one is a good comic book can bring us to different time periods, just like a good book. It can take us to the future for an interesting, fun insight, or in the past to see, who knows, the 70s or see dinosaurs or whatever. For example, I've been reading Chuck Dixon's Birds of Prey, and you know what? You got a fun comic book when you've got dinosaurs mixed in with current day stuff. There's just something fun about that. And I'm not a big fan of the Savage Land, by the way, respect, but a good book that throws you back into a different time period is quite interesting with characters of today if written well. It's just so, once again, back to the absurdity part. It just makes it that entertaining and fun. So, with that said, there's reasons why some comic books don't last the test of time. And let's be honest, they might hit and be trendy at the moment, but they tend to fail to be comic books that anybody ever remembers. They're never that classic Amazing Spider-Man issue 122. Right? They're issues that maybe spark a lot of interest that month, and then they fade away and nobody gives a crap about them. And usually that's comic books that lecture on morals or particular political views based on the writer's personal views and agendas. When they cram their own agenda in, it becomes less of a comic book and escapism and more of an in-your-face lesson in what they want you to feel or think. And that's something we don't care to have. Most readers don't want to be told how they should think or how they should feel or how they should vote or feel vilified while reading the very issue that they paid for. We don't pay for products to tell us how much of a scumbag we are because maybe we have a different belief system on abortion or another hot topic target, or women's rights, or whatever it may be. And I'm not trying to tell you how to think or feel here. I'm just saying people in general don't want to take hard-earned money out of their wallet to pay for things that are telling them how they're wrong or how they should be changing their minds or be a scumbag. Whereas a good comic book that stands the test of time gives you multiple viewpoints of the same subject and really makes you think about it and challenges you, but yet never tells you how to feel. Think about that. Think back to some of the comic books that you really loved. Why did you love those comic books? So let's talk about some really good comic books. Okay, for example, we had the Amazing Spider-Man 122. Hey, the death of Gwen Stacy was a hard-hitting period of time by Jerry Conway. A great series, a great issue in the Spider-Man series, something that stands the test of time. He also did some great Spider-Man through like issue 121, 122, 143 through 149. That was in the 70s, early 70s to mid 70s. Now, I will say that Jerry Conway also wrote some that were overly political and goofy, and I'll talk about that in a minute. He also wrote Firestorm 1 through 5 in 1978, which is quite good. He did some great Justice League of America books as well. But as I said, not all Jerry Conway was good writing. A good example of some of that bad Jerry Conway style of writing you could see, for example, in Web of Spider-Man, issue number 56 with the Rocket Racer. Based on the cover, you think you're going to get an interesting story, you got students writing, but when you actually dive into it, it's a propaganda book. Yeah, with Rocket Racer. It was all propaganda. Now, once again, I'm not saying necessarily I'm vilifying the writer's views here or anything. I'm not. He's fighting Nazis here, if you will. And Nazis are bad, let's be honest. But once again, it was so ham-fisted, so overt, so in your face that it made it garbage. It just wasn't well written because the writer put their propaganda too much in the importance and didn't put enough importance on the actual story. So it becomes a story that nobody remembers and nobody cares about. Here's another good example. We have Peter David, for example. He wrote some great issues of Spectacular Spider-Man, like 107 through 110, and that was in the mid-'80s. He also wrote some great Aquaman, which Aquaman, notably a pretty hard character to write because it just seems like he never gets any good grace from the public. And he's wrote some very notable Aquaman. But my personal favorite from him is probably his work on the Hulk. He did a great shot with Incredible Hulk, Future Imperfect in the early 90s, which was just great. And I loved most of his Incredible Hulk run, like issue 393 in there where we had the Professor Hulk, which is very interesting. He just put a new spin on the character. One of the best runs in Hulk I've read that I can remember for a very, very long time. Now, Peter David, I wouldn't hold him as too high of a degree in putting politics in comics, though he has been accused of, especially in his Young Justice issues where he had gun control, and he swore it wasn't about being anti-gun, it was more about the person behind the gun. But the way the story was written, it could have been perceived a little bit both ways, and that's not necessarily bad. As I said, as long as it's more down the middle and makes the reader think, it's a story that will stand the test of time because it makes you think and come up to your own decisions. But you have to be careful how he wrote it, because he wrote it in such a way he had to be questioned about that. And if you did that, you probably missed the mark just a little bit. And those issues of Young Justice, actually, you don't hear talked about much unless it's somebody who happens to be going through back issues and goes, hey, wait, what's going on there? So once again, we tend to love the things that are, in this case, for Peter David, we're loving them because of the absurdity, with like the Incredible Hulk and the excitement factor of that too, as well as there was some great tension. Whereas the other issues that maybe focused on things that almost maybe seemed overtly political, even if it was a mistake, just aren't remembered as much. So let me ask you, what comic books have you read that you feel last the test of time? They didn't shove anything in their face. They provided great entertainment value, maybe great thinking, because great thinking and thought-provoking is entertainment and things. What stands the test of time for you? And what book ruined that? And you probably would, only reason you remember is it enraged you a while ago. But maybe you could think of some books that you forgot about or series that because, well, they, just weren't there. It was too overly political, so you just brushed him to a side and never gave him another look. All right, thanks for taking this time with me and this journey of talking about comic books that stand the test of time and why they don't. I greatly appreciate it. I also want to say thank you to all my subscribers as well as the new subscribers that are jumping on. Thank you very much. And one of the best ways also you can help support this channel is just tell others about it. Share the news. All right, well, thank you, and until next time, keep it frugal.